Okay.
As are you.
Or just remove
3?
use whatever you're holding.
That's my coat.
Yeah.
Because there's a...
Are you quite done, Darcy? I started recording.
Oh, so sorry. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I fucking will. Kill her if you can, lover boy. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. I'm lover boy.
I'm Chris.
I'm confused. What was that from?
And this is episode 53 of the Sunday Movie Marathon. How are we doing tonight, baby?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, just I'm really cold, so I'm just gonna put a jumper on.
Yeah, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Yes.
I've not really done much other than see Dune, but it's been a long day.
Oh, you saw Dune. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about some other movies. It's going to be quite a hefty episode. 5 movies today.
Yeah, beefy.
We'll get through it.
Just like last week.
Just like last week. Yes. Same quality level too. So, how do you think these movies like compared to the last ones then, in terms of entertainment?
Definitely not as good.
Definitely not as good. No, I was kind of thinking like, what, like the movies that we watched today, or for this episode, they're in the vein of horror. We're trying to pick horror movies because it's Halloween. So I was just kind of wondering, like, through the process of watching these movies, I was never scared once, really. So I wondered what movies have, like, genuinely scared you guys? Twilight? Because I feel like not a lot of horror kind of does it for me.
No, we were talking about this yesterday. Oh, sorry, I did take out my headphones, so you might have mentioned that already. But yeah, no, I think we've already been through this. There's not a film that's genuinely scared me. Maybe one that's creeped me out, but not one that's actually like ever made me jump or anything. The only times they ever make me jump is when like it's a really sudden loud noise. That's it.
Yeah, there's quite a lot that like genuinely like really get under my skin and unnerve me and like scare me. I think the biggest one would probably be when I saw The Exorcist in the cinema last year. Like, that's a film I've seen loads and loads and loads of times, but there was something about seeing it in that environment. It just really, really unnerved me. And I was like almost shaking leaving the cinema. It just like really freaked me out for some reason.
Oh yeah, I didn't like really appreciate The Exorcist as much as I do now on an initial go round. We're seeing that
Saturday.
this week, I think. Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah,
We'll be
I'm
extra
excited
spooked.
to see
But
Chris
yeah, that's
jump.
definitely one. That's one that gets under my skin too, because it's not so much like you said, Darcy, with like you get jumped. That's not really like a scare for me, because it's like, okay, it's just like an involuntary reaction, but like to get under your skin, like cause you to like viscerally, I don't know, like almost panic. I don't know. Maybe like Hereditary did that with me. Midsummer probably
yeah, I was
did
going to say
too.
Midsummer is the only
Anything Ari
film.
Aster does.
Midsummer's the only film in recent history that I've actually had a very, violent reaction to, I would say.
Yeah, I love horror movies that do that more so than like films that just are filled with jump scares and stuff, because I find that's just cheap.
It is, isn't it?
Like, to really like unnerve and like creep out and make your audience feel like really uncomfortable, and like to genuinely frighten them is much more effective, and like you have to actually know what you're doing to make that work, whereas to make someone jump, it's really cheap and easy to do.
It is. It's like, oh damn.
That's
There's a loud
why
noise.
I hate
There's
like the
something else.
paranormal activity movies, because that's all they are. They're just loud noises, and there's nothing else that's really creepy or scary in any way.
No, it's weird that you mentioned that, because it was actually I think it's the third film that made me jump. I always think about there's that scene where a light bulb smashes and it's really, really loud and really sudden, and I jumped and everyone laughed at me, and I was like, this is the only time I've ever jumped in a film that's supposed to be scary. And just because there's a light bulb, everyone's fucking rinsing me. They're all like, haha, you jumped at a light bulb.
Yeah, I think I only watched like the first two, because they were so boring.
They're not very good. I actually don't like them at all.
I think. I'm looking at like my my movie collection. Enemy
Yes.
did that. I don't know if you guys have seen Enemy by Denis Villeneuve.
No.
Jake
You talk
Gyllenhaal.
about the ending scene.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But also just like that whole movie is fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending scene is really freaky.
Sounds good.
You should watch it, Darcy. That's a brilliant movie.
Maybe
Yeah,
I
I
should.
think you'd like it.
Can I find it anywhere? Have you got it?
I've got it.
I know
don't
you
have
got it.
Other films that off the top of my head, The Thing, that's a film that always creeps me out. There's like one scene in particular, I was talking to Max about it.
It was yesterday,
I think it was, where they're like testing each other's blood to see who's infected. That scene is like one of the tensest things you'll ever see. Because like
Yes.
at any point, like the thing is going to like bounce out of this blood and then turn into this huge monster. And it's just like so freaky watching it, just waiting for that. You're just like on edge the entire time.
One of the best movies ever made. The Thing.
Yeah,
Fantastic
super
film.
great movie.
Black Swan kind of did that to me on like a deep down kind of existential level. That's like a horrendous movie.
Yeah, I get that.
Darren Aronofsky is like the king of that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream is kind of similar in some ways.
Oh, yeah, that film. It's well, it kind of. I wouldn't say hits close to home because obviously I've not dealt with any of the problems that they've had, but they are like real, actual problems. If that makes sense, like not many people like encounter like ghosts and zombies and stuff, but like this is actual like people getting like addicted to drugs and like having to like fucking have their arms amputated and shit. I fucking hate that film. It gets me so like. Like it gives me the actual life shudder.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie, but
It feels
really
like
disturbing.
it genuinely is like horrific. That's the kind of film that gets me. The films that get me the most are the films that feel more like real, like they could actually happen, and it's like kind of depressing, I would say.
Yeah.
I remember that also the first time I watched Wreck, that really, really terrified me. I remember I was like just sat there paralyzed with fear after it ended because it really fucked me up.
What was it that little thing at the creature at
The
the end?
entire film really fucked me up.
To be fair, that could happen.
Especially, I watched it again not that long ago, and I didn't find it quite as creepy the second time around. But that giant, like lanky creature at the end is still
Yeah,
really
that is so creepy. I admit.
Yeah. Wreck's one of those. Wreck's freaky as hell. I've only seen it once, so I'd like to see it again at some point.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
You
it's
guys
one of
seen
my favourites.
Burning?
I have,
Burning?
yeah.
No,
Burning
I haven't seen
was-
anything.
Burning was pretty like weird. There was like you don't really know what's going on. That's like some of the best kind of horror. It's not even like a horror movie. It's more like a mystery movie.
Yeah.
But like, what it kind of reveals is like kind of scary, I think, like because it could happen, and it's kind of it's just weird seeing it all unfold. Maybe like the best kind of mystery movies are the ones that leave you with the sense of unnerving and unease.
Yeah, like Seven or Memories of Murder or something like that. They're films that like make you really, really uncomfortable and are quite creepy.
Polar Bear King?
Yeah. That was pretty terrifying. The Polar Bear King.
Oh, I
No.
haven't seen the Polar Bear King, Darcy. Oh, we got to watch it one day.
Oh man.
I'm offended that apparently she hasn't even seen the video I made where I reviewed it.
Oh wow.
Is it a cartoon?
Yeah, that's
No.
No, I have no idea.
no.
It's like
Sorry.
got a polar bear made by the Jim Henson Company.
Oh my fucking
Yeah,
god!
that polar bear
means
is like-
no,
It's like
No.
it doesn't even like talk. It like groans in pain.
Yeah.
nah. For anyone who obviously can't see me, I just fucking shuddered like no one's business. I hate puppets. None of that.
You'd love that movie.
No. See,
Yeah.
puppets scare me. They genuinely terrified the shit out of me.
A lot of those like old horror movies that people love and revere, I feel like I don't care too much for. Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I watched that for the first time the other day.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was so bored.
I like
that
how I
was
said the
bored.
other day, it was
That's
like a week
another
ago.
film that actually really creeps me out. Makes me feel really dirty and uncomfortable every time I watch it.
I mean, I guess in a sense that one's kind of scary in the sense that someone that could happen. Like that could actually happen. Yeah.
For me, it's more of a visceral thing because like so much of that movie is very grimy and disgusting, and like the last 10-15 minutes is just loud noise and like loads of shit going on, and it's just really, really overwhelming for me.
Yeah,
it's super obnoxious and fucking just going all over the place with like so much noise. I'm like, calm down, please. Just turn the volume down.
I'm not a big fan of that.
I don't understand why this is. It's not like I didn't find that scary. I just found it very annoying.
No, it
was like an assault of the senses. It was like,
yeah, that's exactly it. That's the kind of thing
over?
that sends me out.
The Witch was. I'm just looking at my movies again. The Witch.
The Nightingale was one that actually did that to me.
Nightingale.
The Nightingale
well.
fucked me up, man. Fucked me up. Like I did that thing where like I don't do it like that often. Sometimes I do, but like I do that like audible gasp and I do the whole oh my god like that. I rarely ever do it, but when I do, it's like whoa.
Yeah, there's plenty of movies I can think of that are just really disturbing and just make me feel awful for the rest of the film. Like Gaspar Noé's a great director doing that, like Climax or Irreversible.
I don't think I could ever watch Irreversible. Just knowing what I know about
Climax,
the film.
Yeah. Climax is genuinely scary for me.
Yeah.
But Irreversible was like a punch to the face. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I find Irreversible scary as much as I found it like just disturbing.
It is just really disturbing.
I thought Climax was sick, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't even find it scary. I just found it I did find it quite a lot. Like, you know, when like for me, senses, it's like a lot. There was a lot of colour, a lot of noise, a lot of everything, and I'm like, fuck. Just a lot.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Do we want to get on to the discussions now?
Yeah, I realise that we've been talking about this for quite a while now. And I'm just like, shit. Yeah, anyway, what do you want to talk about first, boys?
Our boy Wes.
My favourite boy Wes.
Wesley Snipes. He made a movie.
He did.
We went to see it in the cinema.
Was released from prison, made a movie.
Wesley Snipes is in prison?
I don't think he is anymore, but he was for tax evasion or something.
Do you know what? I might have to look that one up.
He's in there for like 10 years or something.
It turns out he's actually never been to prison.
He was definitely in prison because that was why they didn't make a fourth Blade movie.
Well, they're going to now.
No, they're just they're rebooting it without him.
Yeah. Blade 4, and they'll put they'll use the A in Blade as a 4. They'll make it a 4, like Scree 4M. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the French Dispatch. We saw it the other day. What? Chris, do you want to explain this movie? Because you're a big Wes fan.
Yeah, both me and Darcy love him.
Yes.
Yeah, been eagerly anticipating this new movie, which is like, I guess like an anthology sort of thing, where it's 3 stories from this fictitious newspaper or magazine called the French Dispatch. Basically, as the newspaper shuts down, it's like it basically just tells 3 stories of like the most, I guess, beloved stories that they told in this newspaper. So you got it's the first one's like about an artist who's in jail. The second one's like about this like revolution led by Timothée Chalamet, and the third one's about a kid who gets kidnapped. I guess that's like the rough outlining, like 1 sentence outline of each anthology story.
I like how the only actor mentioned was a revolution led by Timothée Chalamet. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Timothée Chalamet was there. He led the revolution.
That's true. He actually did.
Yeah. So, wow. First Wes Anderson movie I've seen at the cinema, I think.
Same.
It's really awesome to see it because he's obviously very meticulous with his framing, shot composition, I guess blocking and all that. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I did see this twice actually in the cinema. So the first time was a great experience, and the second time was a horrible experience. Because I went just on my own the second time, and the framing was all wrong. They cut off. It's basically like in 4:3, I think. So they cut off the top and the bottom. It's very annoying and very noticeable because they very much rely on the top and the bottom to like put words there or like subtitles when it's changing from story to story or when people are talking. So a lot of the time the subtitles were just cut off. I'm thinking, this is horrendous for anyone. Well, for me it is, but also for anyone whose first experience this is. What? Why? I had to complain, and then nothing was done about it. It's just like,
Sounds
this
like
is
you.
the experience that we have in these parts. Nothing gets done. I don't know why.
I would have asked my money back.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really sad to think about. Like, imagine having such a nice film just being ruined. Especially like if that was me. I've been waiting for this film for so fucking long. If that happened to me, I think I'd just be
Yeah, I think
don't
we
even
lucked
bother.
out when we saw it because although like a tiny bit of the side of it was slightly cut off, it was like not like super noticeable. It was only like a couple bits where there was like the end of like a word was slightly cut off.
I must have been way
noticed
too into it. I did not notice it at all. I think I was just, I must have just been like zoning in on this film. I was thinking a lot about it as it was going on as well, so I just probably wasn't paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So this is obvious. I love this movie. I really do love this movie.
Yes.
And that experience was not enough to like dampen my experience overall of the movie itself. I actually preferred the movie on a second go round, even though it was framed entirely wrong. But it's just like a really great time to see a Wes Anderson movie in the cinema. I think that's where you should see it, because it does demand, like, with all this like great meticulous shot composition, blocking, begs to be on the big screen. I think it's a shame that not a lot of. I don't think there were like a lot of screenings, honestly.
Yeah, I think there's like 4 a
kinda
day
sucks.
or something.
Yeah, I think it's because all the cinemas are being used up by James Bond and Dune at the moment.
Those are like the ones that have like 12 screenings, like an hour. So it kind of makes sense, I suppose. It's kind of sad though.
Yeah, it was a really great experience getting to see a Wes Anderson movie in the cinema because, like you said, his films really like demand to be seen on a huge screen because like just the way he like composes his shots, the way he uses like very creative effects work and just all types of visuals. It just really demands to be seen properly, I think.
I feel like the best part about it for me was, ironically, I know a lot of it was in black and white, but the use of colour when colour is used. Oh, that man, literally, he knows colour theory. Like, no one knows colour theory. I think I love him because I'm a pretentious art person. And I just, it's such a pretty movie.
There was a really great usage of colour all throughout. Like, even the way they used black and white, I thought was really creative. And I love the way it would switch between colours and black and white, as well as the way it would switch between aspect ratios. The majority of the movie was in 4:3, but then there'd be like bits where it'd like switch to 2:35:1. Like for certain scenes that demand like this huge grand scope. Like there's a bit where the artist like unveils his work, like it's this new painting collage that he's made, and it just like as these curtains open up to show it, it switches to that aspect ratio to show the entire thing across the entire screen, and like things like that look incredible.
Yeah, fucking love this film.
But it uses colour very well, I think. Agree with you there. But it uses it quite sparsely, in my opinion, because
in this film especially.
Usually it just uses it to kind of set up a scene. It's like, you got this scene and it's in colour, you understand where the colours are, all right, done. Now we're in black and white. So you understand relatively how everything fits together. I'm talking mainly about the first vignette, which is the story about this artist who is in prison, played by Benicio del Toro. Fantastic. Also, the acting in this movie, second to none, honestly.
All incredible.
Compiled just a bunch of A-listers really at the top of their game. This is a really good story to open with, I feel, because it kind of deconstructs art and the art world. It is this big commentary on modern art and how we appreciate modern art. It's it's this guy who's just in prison, who's like making these phenomenal paintings, apparently, but they're very abstract. And I think this is what people think of when they say, here's an abstract painting. It's like, yeah, it's this kind of thing, because it's just a bunch of colours on a canvas, and you take from it what you can. But ultimately, some people are going to think it's pretentious, but it's going to sell for a very high price, you know. But I really admired that to like kind of begin with, because Wes Anderson is first and foremost an artist, and he's kind of deconstructing this world. Perhaps he's not like a painter. I don't think he's first and foremost a director, a film director. But I think it also speaks to just how you can view different mediums of art in the same sort of way. So it definitely does translate to film. I feel you get a lot of people who rave about these super abstract movies and nobody understands and they're the best in the world, but you only take away from it what you can. But like when you it's just, yeah, maybe I've been rambling. Maybe I've been rambling.
No, I know exactly what you mean though. Like,
Thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I know, like, obviously people who make films, they are artists in their own right. I mean, like, anyone who makes music is an artist in their own right. I feel like art is a creative like form, no matter what you put it at. But there's something about Wes Anderson in particular. I feel like if he didn't go to art school, he could teach at an art school. Do you know what I mean? Like, he seems to know what.
Yeah.
Like, he knows how to be aesthetically pleasing with almost anything that he makes. I appreciate it.
He clearly knows like the art scene, and he like I think he perfectly satirizes it. Like, satirizes the way it's like very money like driven, like the way that they've got all these people like basically just like using this painter, this guy is like mentally ill and like really struggling to paint and like can barely do it, and like is trying to kill himself in multiple scenes, and they're basically just like forcing him to do something.
Yeah, I feel like Adrian Brody, he is like the epitome of everything that I hate about the art scene. Not because I'm ever going to be in that part of the art scene where I'm like, I don't know, doing a Tracy Emin and I'm like fucking making up a bed sheet and I'm making millions of pounds on this one quote unquote installation piece. No shade to Tracy Emin. I actually really like all of her like monoprints and like neon works and stuff. But there's a lot of things about the art scene that I really don't like, and a lot of it is how like collectors are quite pretentious, and some people just kind of either don't value art at all, or they think it's like they think that it's so great and God's gift, even if like they have absolutely no sense. And a lot of people have more money than sense will just buy these things and not appreciate it, if that makes sense. Well, they kind of do, but they kind of don't. Not to how it should be anyway.
Yeah.
And they just don't care about who gets hurt in the process either, which is fun.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like kind of exactly what a lot of the sequence is about, and I think it's really funny. And it's also just like, it really, really sets the tone for the entire movie perfectly, I think.
It does. I think this was the best place to start. I honestly fucking loved this segment. I really did.
He's trying to buy the painting from Benicio del Toro of like Simone naked. He's painted in a very abstract and strange way this guard from the prison, and he goes in. He says, "I want to buy your painting." He says, "It's not for sale." He says, "Everything's for sale. You're not an artist unless you sell." And that's what makes you an artist. I like directly looked up towards Darcy when that happened. I was like,
I literally burst out laughing.
I think we all felt that, like in our core.
The thing is, though, ironically
as people
enough,
who made art, who have made art, I think that resonates with us a lot.
Oh my god, why is that so true? Literally, all three of us are probably not doing it right at all. Ironically, though, I was actually really motivated to like do a painting throughout. I don't know why, but I think it's because the paintings were so pretty. But I'm then falling into the trap that I just said, that I don't like the art scene.
That's very interesting, because I didn't think they were very pretty. I didn't really like the paintings, to be honest.
I loved them. I actually did.
My enjoyment of them perhaps goes as far as they were framed very nicely. They were lit very nicely. But the paintings themselves, I didn't really take to. But that's also what it's trying to go for as well. you got Adrian Brody, who's like this art collector, who's this supposed connoisseur. He's like, I will give you, like, how much do you want for it? Benicio del Toro's like, I don't know, 50 francs. And he's like, I will give you 250,000 francs. And that's like a way of trying to comment on the fact that maybe we do sell art for a bit too much. Perhaps. I definitely think we do. As like, in the art world, I think these things go for a bit too much, because you can only take away from it what you take away from it, and perhaps, I don't know, someone who's paid £50,000 for a painting is going to get a different experience from that painting than somebody who would look at it and say, that's bullshit, I wouldn't pay anything for it, and I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, my dad's a bit like that when it comes to modern art. Like, basically, if he had seen... So, recently speaking, there was paintings in the Tate of just, like, a red spot in the middle of a canvas. And my dad would be like, well, that takes, like, no talent at all. Why couldn't anyone else do it? And I was like, well, then why didn't you? This person had the initiative to actually just do it. And sometimes I feel like... I used to really hate modern art. Like, really hate it, because I felt like it took no talent. And then I think the longer you sort of immerse yourself in the sort of culture, I think the more you start to appreciate the fact that people are just clever enough to think of these things and like actually create these visions that they have in their sort of head, which I'm kind of jealous about. I'm not gonna fucking lie about it, man. I am. But like, when am I ever gonna freeze a cow in formaldehyde? Where am I gonna find a cow, first off?
I don't know. That guy was kind of a dick, though.
What, Damien Hirst?
He be like that guy.
I mean, he has some really beautiful taxidermy butterfly collections and stuff. But that's a whole new story for another day. We don't need to talk about him.
There's the scene where the paintings that he's been commissioned to do are unveiled, and Adrian Brody, very over the top, he's like, wow, this is amazing, I love it. He's the next, it's a fresco, you're amazing, you're the next big guy. And then he finds out that the paintings are actually like painted onto the plaster of the wall of the prison, so he can't take them off because it's a prison wall, it's county property. They have to go through a whole rigmarole to get this wall taken down and put it in an actual exhibition. And as soon as he finds that out, he just snap. He's like, this sucks. This is awful. This is absolutely terrible. I can't believe you've done this. All these paintings suck. And then they get into like this big fight about it, where like they're throwing dishes at each other and Benicio del Toro's in a wheelchair. I
feel like that's another thing I hate about the art scene, is that it's just they're so quick to just shit on someone if they can't get their way about something. And it sounds so bad, but I'm just shitting on the art scene too much. I'm sorry. I just not a fan of it at all.
That was a great bit though, where like the camera's attached to Benicio del Toro's like wheelchair as he's chasing him around.
That was sick.
So funny.
That's so good.
I think that's also commentating on probably pretentious art critics, or like people who collect art just to collect it, and they're not getting a real emotional reaction from it, but they understand that this will go for a lot of money if they spend a lot of money on it, and it doesn't have to connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
But if everyone knows it's in a big gallery, it's going to go for millions.
It's almost like people that like to brag. They're like, oh, I bought this painting from blah blah blah, because they just want to talk about it at like a dinner party or something. Like, oh, you see my newest painting? Ooh, like, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Hate it.
There was a weird amount of nudity in this sequence for a Wes Anderson movie. Wasn't expecting that.
It kind of makes sense though when you think about the actual subject of the art stuff itself. Like, you know, when that lady's talking about, she's doing the lecture on his life.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton.
I'm telling you now, it is the most accurate portrayal of an art lecture ever, because it is literally exactly the same. It's some woman, usually, who's really passionate about art, talking about an artist and being like, Well, actually, I went to a dinner party not that long ago where I actually met someone who knew his uncle, who knew his cousin, who knew his brother, and it's literally just like that.
Yeah,
I
she like
fucking love
stops
art
to
lectures.
talk for a moment. She's like, I think it's time for me to have a drink. So she like ducks down behind the podium to pour herself a drink.
See, if my uni lectures could have done that, like if they could have a drink during lectures, I reckon they would have, because a lot of them do kind of have that like air about them where they're so passionate about the subject that they just go on and on and on and on. It gets really boring.
There's that bit where she's like going through a slideshow presentation and she accidentally puts a picture of her naked in it.
Hell yeah. That was so random though. It was like so weird.
Great little moment, yeah. Lots
Mm.
of great comedy beats in this, in a way that Wes Anderson does very well. Although I do feel like I'm getting slightly tired of his style now. I still love the movie, but I'm also very aware that he does things in the same sort of way as regards beginning a movie with a lot of exposition, a lot of talking. You're supposed to absorb it all. You know, okay, well, I feel like this is maybe a bit too much. I felt like it was a bit too much at the beginning of my first watch. I didn't have that problem so much on the second go round, but it was because I was watching it again and I knew what it was kind of about more. And that, I think it clicked for me a bit more on the second go round, whereas on the first go round, it is kind of an assault. It's like, here's this information, you got this, too bad. We're going on to the next piece of information, here's the next piece of information. He does direct his actors in a way as to make them speak with exactly the same kind of tone. So I feel like I'm sort of getting a bit tired of that now, where I feel like all his characters sound the same. I can't really differentiate between, like, when I think of like great characters from Wes Anderson movies, I don't know. Maybe I think of more character-driven movies. Perhaps I don't know if I think of the French Dispatch so much. I'm probably more inclined to say the Royal Tenenbaums. Probably more inclined to say Darjeeling Limited, or I feel like those are two good ones. When he's more focused on the characters, I feel it gels a bit more, and I can appreciate his style that's kind of included in it. And that's the thing, though, is that I honestly love his style. I love his movies so much, but sometimes it does get on my nerves.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I guess he doesn't really do a lot different with his movies. I obviously am like you. I really love his style. He's like a top 3 favorite director for me. But French Dispatch, I guess, isn't really anything different compared to his other movies. It is basically just like what you'd expect from a Wes Anderson movie. If you definitely,
it's like he made 3 movies, but just shorter.
Yeah, it's like he made 3 short films and crammed them into one.
It is kind of
I
like
think
that,
if you
isn't it?
really don't like Wes Anderson, you're going to hate this movie because it's just, I feel
mean-
like all of his tropes, all of like his normal cast, everything he does well, like all the things that people dislike about him, it's just kind of here on display.
I like how you were like, if you don't really like him, you're going to hate this. Which they probably wouldn't go and see it because they'd be like, oh, it's fucking Wes Anderson. I'm not watching that.
But at least
it's like-
you know what you're getting when you see a Wes Anderson movie, right?
Yeah, no, I agree
Yeah.
with that, actually. 'Cause, it's true, though, isn't it?
Like there's a couple films like Royal Tenenbaums or Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I'd still recommend even if you don't like him.
Oh, hell yeah. Fantastic Mr.
But
Fox is...
This one wouldn't be
Great.
one at all. I feel like you have to like him to enjoy this movie.
No. I mean, this doesn't seem like one of his more accessible films, does it, to be honest?
No. But I do think this is him at like probably his most creative, especially visually. There's a lot of
there's some
really
really-
interesting
yeah.
stuff going on throughout. Like there's a few bits where you've got characters on like driving or on public transport where like the background looks a little bit janky, almost like it's like stop motion or something, which I really liked. I thought that was like a really nice little piece that most people probably wouldn't pick up on. And there's like a really, really great sequence in the final vignette where it's like all animated. There's like this chase
Hell
scene where
yeah.
instead of actually having like these human people doing a chase scene, he like animates it as if it's like a old like Tintin comic or something, and it looks really great.
My favourite part's in the second one, where Timothy Chalamet and whoever the girl is, when they're standing by the record thing and like literally
Yeah.
everything's moving around them. That's fucking sick.
That is really
That
great.
bit was sick. I was like, oh hell yeah.
Really good, the second story, I felt.
Yeah.
I feel like the second one perhaps is my favourite, although I'm kind of tossing it up
I think
between
I'd
the first
agree.
and the second.
I could see why
Um,
you would. It's a good one.
Yeah, and I really like Timothy Chalamet as well.
Yeah, he's really good in the movie. I
So
like
Timothy
Frances
Chalamet.
McDormand as well. She's really great in it.
She's great in everything she's been in though.
Yeah, she's like Tilda Swinton in that. Like, she gives like a 10 out of 10 performance in like even like 0 out of 10 movies.
I love it. Like, they're just committed to their craft, and I'm a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think perhaps as characters go in the movie, I thought Timothy Chalamet probably my favourite.
Yeah, I was actually like thinking that when you were bringing up the characters in this. Like, I thought instantly Timothy Chalamet's character's like the one I liked the most.
I feel like his is the most that was fleshed out. I feel like.
Yeah, because he kind of like plays like almost like he's kind of like a man-child in a way, where he's like, he's acting big and tough and acting like he knows everything, but he's still like a kid who doesn't really know anything and makes like mistakes and that sort
He's
of
like
thing.
a teenager.
Yeah,
Supposed to be a teenager, I think.
Yeah, he's
like
I thought he was going to be about 18.
student leader or something, student president.
Yeah, he was
or
at college or something, wasn't he?
something. He's like,
I think.
yeah, he's like sleeping with Frances McDormand.
yeah, that was a bit strange, but
It was quite strange. They're like in bed together.
That bath
she
bit
like
was weird as
finds
well.
him in the bath.
Yeah, that bit was so weird.
that was
I
the
liked, but he says like I'm shy of my new muscles. I was like, what does that mean? And then he repeats it, and I'm like, I don't know if I find that funny. I don't understand what that means.
No, neither do I. Is he trying to
Something
I
like
don't
a
know,
joke
yeah.
about puberty, perhaps.
That's what I
don't know.
thought. But then
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what I was thinking.
he's like 18 or 19, so he can't be new to puberty. I don't understand.
maybe it hit late. You never know.
Or maybe he's working out. I don't know. I don't get it. Can he
Yeah.
explain to me if he ever is this?
I'm
This
not
was,
sure. Perhaps
um,
I just see him as like my sort of age, no matter what.
That sequence reminded me the most of Grand Budapest, and like how like I guess almost like politically charged it kind of is. Like, it's about the kids like kind of rebelling against the government and rebelling against like the military, and yeah, it gives me a lot of like the political undertone.
Wait,
like,
I thought the
vibe
whole
of Grand
thing was
Budapest.
that I don't know, like the boys wanted to get access to the girls' dorms or something. I thought that was what the whole fucking thing was about. Or maybe I didn't actually understand that.
That's like
anything
what it
about
starts off as, but
Oh, I'm
like,
confused.
it like moves into like a revolution sort of story.
Because I was
Because they're
thinking, why is
creating
Tim?
this manifesto,
Yeah, no,
sort of
because I
trying
was
to get
thinking, why would you have a
change done on a
manifesto for
grander
that?
scale.
So fucking bizarre.
Manifesto to get into the girls' changing rooms.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, why would that be a thing? It makes whatever.
I think what I like the most about this movie as a general overview is that I just like that it's a homage to great writers of the past and great journalists. It's obviously based around this fictional newspaper that's done so many stories, and these are like the 3 best stories as the founder dies, so they're publishing this as the last one. I really appreciate it as somebody who like is very into writing myself, someone who studied journalism. I found it was very sweet and very kind-hearted to just the great writers of our time.
Yeah, it's like a love letter to like a dying sort of art.
It is.
I did appreciate that a lot.
I don't know anyone that really reads newspapers and things anymore.
Yeah,
Not because they
I
don't
read the
need to,
news.
but I just don't know.
as you'd expect from Wes Anderson, it's like full of quirk and like warmth and heart. It's like a very wholesome movie, I think, even if there's like darker elements to it.
Yeah, I actually thought a bit that we hadn't even mentioned was the the bit where Owen Wilson like goes onto the streets of France on his bike. I really like that scene. I really like the way they filmed it from like the bike's angle, and he's like talking. He's like do 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 do.
Yeah, and
going
isn't
through the
paying
sea.
attention and accidentally rise down into the underground.
Yeah, it's sick. I love that bit.
Yeah, I like that more on a second go round, but the first go round, I was like, "What's he saying?"
Yeah, I was kind of like that. Yeah, I
Don't understand what he's saying.
I really do want to watch it a second time. I wanted to go today, but the screening wasn't till like 2 or 3 hours after Dune
Do you know
finished.
what? I'm not gonna lie. I actually kind of want to go and see it again.
Because I did like it. I loved it like the first time, but there was definitely a lot that I was really struggling to take in. And also I feel like because I didn't really know what the movie was, I found a lot of it. At first I was like, I'm not too sure about this. It wasn't until like I really kind of figured out what the film was going for. It all like clicked together. So I feel like I definitely enjoy it a lot more on a second.
I'm actually debating going to see it again because so my mum called me up earlier when I was helping H do some packing up things, and she went, "Oh, how was that French movie that you went to go see?" And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, the Wes movie." And I was like, "Oh, it was fucking great." And then I was going into like detail about like what the film kind of was about and like what I liked about it. And in the back of my head, I was like, I want to go see this film again, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to see it again. Actually,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Here goes me opening up my phone.
Been talking
Speaking
ages.
about not having time. Should we get on to ratings?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we've been chatting for fucking ages.
What should we rate this out of?
Do it out of new muscles.
New muscles. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love this movie. I don't know whether it's because like I'm a huge Wes Anderson fanboy, but I got a lot out of the movie. Really happy to see one of his films finally in the cinema. And yeah, it's just the perfect place to see him. And I was happy to support him because I think he's a fantastic director who deserves to work for the rest of his life. So I'm going to give it 9 new muscles out of 10.
What the fuck? I love the way
do
you
something
said
different,
that.
Wes. I'm sick of you. I'm tired of your style. I hate you so much. Do something different. God damn it. Really fantastic movie though. Loved it. So yeah, I'd probably give it the same 9 new muscles out of 10.
Sorry, I've now just decided to look up all of the film times for the French Dispatch. Nah, do you know what? I was gassed when they announced this many moons ago. And then I got very, very upset when it didn't come out last August. And then it came out right after my birthday and it cheered me the fuck back up again. Oh, I fucking love you, Wes Anderson. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah. A good hangover cure, I discovered.
I would not have discovered that.
Not for me. I was.
Nah, not for
Well,
me.
I mean, I wasn't hungover, but
No, neither was I.
I was absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So with that, Chris and I saw a movie. Chris saw it today. I saw it the other day, and then the other day before that. I've seen it twice. It's Dune, baby. We finally got Dune 2021, directed by the
Dennis
great
the Menace himself.
Great Dennis the Menace Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve. It's a movie adapted by from the book by Frank Herbert, and it follows Paul Atreides from House Atreides, and he's a young man, gifted, born into a great destiny, and he must travel to Arrakis, the most dangerous planet in the universe, by the command of the Emperor, who commands his father, you got to go to Arrakis and farm the spice, my friend. So he takes his entire house to Arrakis to farm spice, which essentially is a substance that means they are able to trade this, and I think it helps with interstellar travel. I'm pretty sure. So in order to do this, they had to kick out. The Emperor had to kick out the previous, I guess, tenant of Arrakis who was farming the spice, and they are, what are their names? So, the dudes. I've forgotten their names.
I'm sorry, I wish I could help.
the guys. Dave Bautista was one of the dudes. Anyway, you got Dave Bautista and Stellan Skarsgård, and they're the guys. So a lot of complicated names. I'm not blanking on like a word that's actually real. I'm blanking on a word that's been made up by Frank Herbert.
Yeah, you got Stellan Skarsgård plays Baron Vladimir Harkonnen.
What a
Harkonnen,
name.
that's House Harkonnen.
Dave Bautista plays Glossu Rabin.
Glossy Rabbit.
Yeah, Glossy Rabbit.
So, yes, the Harkonnens are essentially waging war against House Atreides for this injustice done to them, and it's all being sort of orchestrated by the Emperor himself, who we don't see. This is part 1 of perhaps a 2-parter, maybe a 3, I'm not sure at the moment. But it was amazing. As if I had any doubts. This man is my favourite director. He can do no wrong. He's he's probably one of the best. He is one of the best, but he might be the best director working today. And for sure, he is the best sci-fi director working today. This man has no limits to just the amount of talent flowing out of him. I didn't think he'd be able to top Blade Runner 2049, and for me, perhaps he didn't. But that's probably because the way I relate and resonate to 2049 has to do with a lot of just deep personal things. But this is, in and of itself, clearly a step in the right direction for both Denis and sci-fi as a genre.
Yeah, I went in, I was very, very cautiously optimistic. Because the David Lynch film was really shit. And I was like just really worried that I just wouldn't like this story as a whole, because I had never read the book. I never watched like the TV adaptation they did of it. So I was just kind of going off that. And also I thought the trailer didn't look that great. Like watching the trailer, I was like, this just doesn't look like my kind of thing at all. So I was like really, really happy to see the film kind of, not only does it tell the story that the original film did in a very similar but far better way, I think it just like in every single way, it's like one of the most engrossing, captivating stories and universes I've ever seen in a sci-fi film. Like I was just completely sucked into everything that was going on for its entire like 2.5 hour runtime. There was never a point where I was like, okay, it's getting a bit boring now, it's been on a bit too long. I was just super in there, super invested, super like excited to see what would happen next. And I was like kind of upset when the film ended, because I could have easily like watched it for 2 or 3 times its length.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why I hope we get part 2 soon. I hope we get it, if not next year, then the year after. You know, I really want...
It's been officially confirmed now that it's coming out October 2023, I think. Ooh. They confirmed it like an hour before we start recording.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm fine with that. As long as they get to make it the way I think that they want to make it. You know, Denis is clearly a passionate man. He's very passionate about this book. He read it when he was growing up, when he was a boy. So I think it's just a real passion project for him, and you can tell that he just cares so much, that everyone cares so much about making this. It looks fantastic. It is second to none in terms of its cinematography, in terms of its colouring and shot composition. Honestly, like in Orc, they had to like film in the desert. They went to the desert to film this movie, which is just, I mean, it's dedication on a level that's quite difficult for me to comprehend, I think, because it is such an ambitious movie. It's taking from this huge book, even, and some very dense themes and topics and world building going on. It's very dense with its story, but the scale is humongous. And I think the first time round, perhaps I was having trouble understanding everything that was going on, because it's trying to pack a lot into 2.5 hours, and because there's so much to delve into, perhaps, you know, you're always going to get more world building with a book. But I think for what they managed to fit in here, is very. It's a job well done.
Yeah, I think it's only like half of the first book or something, and I think they really managed to tell the story super well. In terms of presentation, this is about as incredible as I think film can get, like, in terms of how it looks visually and how like it sounds as well. Like, not only is like all the cinematography and coloring and all of that, and like the costumes and set designs, all of that, like top tier. The music is so incredible. Like, all the sound mixing and all of that stuff is also fantastic. Like, it really does a great job of creating this really otherworldly atmosphere, which is just like, it's super, it just really sucks you in.
We love a good Hans Zimmer score. He really went all out. And I think when he's working with the right director, he gets a lot more out of him, perhaps. But then, like, obviously Hans Zimmer is like one of the best composers working, but I think they referred a lot to the book while making the music itself, which is interesting to think. But I suppose it makes sense, obviously. If you're trying to capture the feel of the world, what better than to take from the source material itself? I mean, it's not got sound in the book, but, you know, you take, like, the feelings you get from it.
Fantastic acting all throughout as well. I think everyone really brings these characters to lives in a really great way. Everyone really fits the characters they played. Just like a really terrific cast. I think Timothée Chalamet is really great as Paul. I think he just really fits that, like, very adolescent, like that young kid sort of thing that he's supposed to be playing, where, similar to in French Dispatch, he's playing someone who like thinks he knows everything, and like the fact that he may be that this really important figure kind of gets to him, even though he's just not ready for that sort of responsibility and keeps fucking up and like putting himself in danger.
He was the first pick for Denis. He said he wouldn't go with anyone else.
No.
So I completely agree. He does the part very well. Yeah, fantastic acting, honestly. It was very strange to see Jason Momoa without a beard. I don't think I like that.
Yeah, that really threw me off as well.
I didn't like it. It's like, babyface Jason Momoa. I don't appreciate it. Who else we got? Oscar Isaac. He's bloody fantastic, obviously.
Yeah, he's one of my favourite actors, and he was really terrific in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca Ferguson always does a really good job. Stellan Skarsgård, he was like this big fucking fat blob of a guy. He looks disgusting. I didn't realise it was him at first, because like the prosthetics on him are actually insane.
I had no clue till I looked it up after the film.
No. Oh. Good. Charlotte Rampling was actually fantastic. She's the head of the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah.
She was like this really creepy, foreboding presence, with like just dressed all in black, this veil over her face. She was just kind of creepy in a way. I think that's what the kind of feeling that they wanted to get from it. I mean, I don't what are your thoughts on like this scene where like she's kind of testing Paul with like this box that he has to put his hand in, and they so like they set it up. It's like in this library. It's all dark, which I appreciate a lot in terms of like coloring, because it could just be like washed out and you couldn't really see anything, but the blacks really pop, the shadows pop, and like she's all dressed in black. It just makes her look just kind of weird and like otherworldly. And they don't really use much in the way of special effects for this scene, because it's all to do with like the acting and the psychological torment of like Paul putting his hand in his box and trying to resist the urge to take his hand out while this needle's pressed against his neck.
Yeah, really, really fantastic scene. That's like one of, I think, 2 or 3 scenes that were in the David Lynch movie that I actually liked in that movie. but all of those scenes were done so much better. Like in this, like you've also got the bit where you have that little, I can't remember what it's called, that little little robotic like fly sort of thing that comes into assassinate Paul at one bit. That was in the original. And also the scene where they first see like the sandworm, and Paul starts like almost hallucinating and like has to run back to the ship in like this huge sandstorm before like the sandworm gets them. Like all of those were great scenes in the original movie, but I think Denis did them so much better in this.
Yeah, I mean that's a shame, but yeah, I agree. Even though I agree that they're fantastic scenes. I haven't seen Lynch's Dune. I think he does a very good job of creating a world that feels not of this earth. It's very alien, even though it is filmed on Earth. I mean, you don't get many shots from space, but I think when you do, it looks probably as good as any sci-fi set in space that I've ever seen. It rivals, the effects of Star Wars. It rivals the effects of like 2001 even. Just these great hulking spaceships that look really strange in they're like tubes, and I think it must have been practical. It must have been practical just to like move these smaller ships through these like huge colossal tube ships that kind of mirrored the sandworms in a way.
Yeah, I think Denis does a great job of really, really like selling like what he's trying to show. I think he does it in Blade Runner as well, where everything is so seamless and real that it kind of like draws the line where you kind of keep forgetting that you're watching a movie and not just like actually looking into this like real other world. And I think this film just does that so well because the effects and everything are just so incredible. There was never an effect, like whether it was practical or CGI, where I was like, yeah, that looks a bit ropey. It just all was so real.
It's also about, restraint as well, and knowing when to use effects, when they'd be appropriate. Because perhaps you see more and more nowadays these really effects-heavy movies that kind of don't try and they can just do it all in post-production. This is all, I think, a way to put the audience within the movie and make it feel real, but also just while you're making the movie, have it feel real to the actors and the crew.
Yeah, this is like an epic. It's like on such a huge, grand scale. So I completely understand why people like are watching it and saying it's just like too much or it's like overwhelming, or I've heard like some people say it's a little bit self-indulgent because of how like grand it is in scope. But I think it works really, really well. I think Denis was the perfect choice to make this because he knows how to make these really large, grand scale things without them ever feeling cheap or cheesy or anything.
Yeah, like what do you want? Just no grand scale movies? You want no epics? What do you... He's the guy to do it, but like if you're saying it's like too indulgent, I don't know. I haven't read the book really, but like I want movies like this every so often, just to say, yeah, we can make something that actually pushes cinema in this way. I think this does push cinema in a way that I've definitely not seen before, because Denis is always a guy who's trying to stretch the limits of what he can achieve.
Yeah, he is one of the greats. Have no faults for him.
Absolutely not. I mean, I could talk about this movie forever, but we're going on a bit. So, do you want to get on to the other movies? We'll give this one a rating out of sandworms.
Maybe it's one we should go back to in the future and talk about it properly.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Full length when Darcy's seen it and loved it with every fibre of her being.
To be fair, I'm going to take this.
Yes, you say we're rating it our sandworms.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a masterpiece, easily my favourite film of the year. I was just completely in awe of the movie. I was like fully in tears when it ended because I was just so like really blown away that we're we were lucky enough to get a film quite like this in our lifetime. It really does feel like a once in a lifetime sort of film. So I'm going to give it 10 sandworms out of 10. I'm excited to see how my rating and opinion holds up on a second viewing, whether I like it even more or like it less, but I think I'll still love it as much as I do.
It's definitely a movie you need to see in the cinema.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it like at home when it comes out on Blu-ray, but I'm very glad to have been able to see it even twice in the cinema. I feel like it demands that. This is one of the best sci-fi movies of the 21st century, in my opinion. It's
I'd agree.
It's going to go down as a classic, I think. And I've not seen the first movie. I've not seen the Lynch one, but I understand that's not very well received. Whereas I think this has been very well received. I'm very glad to see that because it means we're going to get a part 2, maybe a part 3. I don't know what's going to happen in the next one, but we'll see. I mean, I'd be fine with either, as long as Denis gets to do what he wants with it, because obviously it's working. So yeah, 10 sandworms out of 10 for me too.
Yeah. I'm hoping to see it in IMAX next week, so that'll be great.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, so we watched 3 horror movies. We each picked a horror movie each to watch. So could have been anything. So take it away, Chris. What was your recommendation?
Yeah, I should have looked up the year and director before, so I'm not just like scrambling to try and get it now. Yeah, so I
75.
picked one of my favourite movies of all time, the Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975, directed by Jim Sharman. It's a rock and roll horror sci-fi musical. Basically, it's about this couple called Brad and Janet, who are basically like exactly what you'd expect from like a 1950s sort of couple. They're very repressed and awkward. They get stuck with a flat tire in the middle of a storm, and they discover a mansion owned by Dr. Frankenfurter, played by Tim Curry, who's a transvestite scientist. And he basically invites them into his world, and he shows them that he has created a person, a muscular man named Rocky, and kind of all hell breaks loose from there. I think I was the only person who liked this movie. Boy, did I like it.
This movie's not for me. Really,
I didn't think it would be.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I appreciate what it's going for on like a technical level. I think they're a very nice sets. It's very colourful and flamboyant. I like the guy, the Frankenfurter dude. He was pretty cool. I was quite bored like at the beginning, but when he showed up, I was like, now we're getting somewhere. But then it kind of dipped for me again. But it's not without its merits. I think the acting is very good. Everyone's clearly very into it. But I don't think this is my kind of movie. I don't really like the songs at all. And when it's so like song heavy, that's kind of something you rely on to get you through it. But I just wasn't really engaged with that or with the story. I didn't realize they were aliens until like the end of the movie, and you were like, yeah, they've already said that. So I don't know, I guess like some parts I just kind of tuned out of. It's a lot of like, I just like flamboyance and like in your face, and I can gel with that up to a point, but I would rather it like told a story, because I wasn't getting much of a story from it in terms of like just actual plotting. I felt it was quite weak on that.
I also didn't like the music or the story, except for the time warp, because that song is great and it's still in my head every single time I've thought about anything today. I've had the time warp in my head. I don't know, it stays with you for a while. But no, I kind of agree. I feel like, I mean, as far as the music goes, almost everybody's really, really annoying. Meatloaf's annoying. Not a fan of him. What's her name? Eddie and the other one. I don't remember their fucking names now.
Hey,
I don't know. The couple at the beginning. I'm so sorry. What their name?
Brad and Janet.
Brad and Janet. Yeah, they fucking suck.
Brad was an absolute wet wipe.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
like don't get- I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it, but yeah, I think Max has a point. You know, when something is like it's a musical, it's got a lot of songs in it. When you only like one of the songs, it kind of it dies a bit of a death, doesn't it?
Yeah. I love every single song in this movie with all of my being. I think they're all really catchy. They're all so cheesy and ridiculous. I just really, really love them.
Do you know what the weird part is? That at the beginning you were like, "Oh, this science fiction one is like my favourite one," and I thought, "Oh no, this one's actually not that great." And then when I heard the other songs, I was like, "Oh, actually, this one's actually okay."
Yeah. The film opens up with it's just like a shot of this pair of lips that's like on the poster, just coming towards the camera, and then singing Science Picture double feature, which is the opening song, which is one of my favourite songs of all time.
I kind of would also like to apologise to anyone who listens to the podcast who knows me personally and is like, why would you hate this film? I don't hate the film. I know I should like it, but I just don't love it. Which is probably a good thing that I watched it with you guys, because I was supposed to watch this at Download with H when I originally was going to watch this film. And I'm glad I didn't, because I think everyone would have been vibing and there would have been me, like I would not have been vibing.
But I don't hate the movie.
No,
I just
don't
feel
think you
quite
did.
indifferent to it, and I was quite bored.
Yeah, I felt like you were.
You know, it's leaning into a lot of the like burlesque type of themes, I suppose. I appreciate that, but it's not really doing a lot with it for me. It's like, let's put on a show. Okay, you done that? All right.
To be fair, my favorite part of this whole film was Tim Curry. He is literally what invested.
Yeah.
Like, I was invested because of him. He is great in every single way.
He
in
is
this film.
fantastic in this movie. This is probably my favourite performance from him.
Oh,
He's just incredible in the
I
role.
loved it. Yeah,
He just like really disappears into it and plays like this really flamboyant, over the top character. He's just a lot of fun. He's really funny. He's like a terrible person, but I just really enjoy watching.
Yeah, really, really good performance, but he's an absolute creep.
Yeah, he's a G.
But I feel like that's just like the point. He is the villain of the movie, pretty much.
That's the thing. You love the villain. That is one of the things about this film that I'm like, hell yeah! Like,
I love
it's
him
one of them.
more than the heroes. If you can even call Brad and Janet heroes.
They are not
I
heroes.
won't
They
call
suck.
them heroes.
They suck.
I'll call them victims of circumstance.
Yeah, they kind of are, to be honest.
People who are too much of a pussy to just leave. Like
Yeah.
they stay all throughout this whole thing.
That's kind of reminiscent of something that I would do, though.
They let these strangers take their clothes off.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and just chuck them into like random rooms and lock them in there and weird
Like,
shit
what,
like that.
they're
It's just sort
about
of
to
fun.
they're about to get married. They're each other's fiancés, but like Brad cheats on Janet with Frankfurter the first chance he gets. What? Then
And then
Janet
she-
cheats on
yeah, then
Brad
she-
with Rocky. Like, these guys are clearly not all that solid.
No, clearly not. I love their sort of like, they have like this dynamic where they're like engaged, but you wouldn't even think that they were mates. I love it. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, there's like this whole sequence where Janet sees that Brad's cheated on her and she finds Rocky and then she sings the song Touch Me, which is like the most gay thing in the world. Like, it's so ridiculous
Oh
and
my
flamboyant.
god.
Like just watching that, I'm like, I can 100% like imagine this playing in like a gay bar and everyone like losing their shit. Like I kind of see that with a lot of the songs in this, like Sweet Transvestite, Time Warp. There's a song I'll Make You a Man where
that the one with
Frankenfurter's
Rocky?
talking about Rocky and
yeah.
like starts like touching his like naked body and singing about how he's really into muscly men and all this stuff.
And don't forget, he's like, this man is like made Rocky like the vision of like the perfect man or whatever. And he's literally come out in fucking skin tight gold pants. How iconic is that? I fucking love
Yeah,
that. I was like, what the
So
fuck?
he's got the Charles Atlas seal of approval.
I don't know what that means, by
Charles
the way.
Atlas was a bodybuilder.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, so I had no idea what that meant. He was just
Talking
going,
about
Charles
perfect
Atlas.
man. Perfect man. You see his haircut?
I know, it was terrible. It was
It
awful.
was horrendous.
it, was,
haircut.
it was the worst haircut.
He's the
Although he
only.
came out of like a tank. It was like
Yeah.
rainbow. He came out of like a rainbow tank.
It was like
It was kind of like almost Holy Mountain-esque.
it was almost like it felt like a coming out story. This man
Yeah.
comes out of a tank from a rainbow and he's wearing gold pants.
Yeah.
Bit
I'm okay
overt,
with it.
but
It was overtly gay.
was
This
really
film was
great.
very gay. I love it.
Rocky's like the only character in the movie whose singing voice isn't the same as the actor. Like he's the only one who was dubbed by someone else.
Oh, I
'Cause he
mean,
couldn't sing. They just picked
None of
him
them
for the
could
role.
sing, really.
no,
Janet
no,
couldn't sing.
no.
Janet sucked.
No, what I liked about this though was that Tim Curry isn't the best singer, but he somehow was better than Meatloaf, and Meatloaf is like a trained singer, isn't he? Like I love
Yeah.
that. Tim Curry was like, "Fuck you all."
It's all about delivery, really. Tim Curry's like really, really into the songs, and he like really sells it. Like not just in Sweet Transvestite, but like you've got his like song at the end where he gets captured by Riff Raff,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
thinks like he's finally going back to his home planet. He sings the song "I'm Going Home." Whereas,
That's actually
like,
really sad. Now that I'm like reflecting on it, I'm like, oh, that is sad.
yeah, he's like walking through this crowd of people who aren't actually there and like are all in his head. He's like really emotional and he's like giving it all he's got. And I think his like performance, especially there, is really great.
Yeah, that ending is sad. However, my favorite part is when you told me about what happens at the end of the US version. And imagine how like upset you would be if you just invested all this time watching a film and it just like ends.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
stops.
the final song
kinda
does
did
suck,
just stop,
to be
to be
fair.
fair.
So
The final song is tragic. Yeah, but at least you know where the other people are because they're kind of in the. I don't know. They're like in the shot still. It kind of. I don't know.
Who
Kind
cares?
of. Yeah. Who? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It is kind of whatever because the characters that are left suck. I'm sorry, they
Yeah.
do. I hate those. The couple fucking suck. I hate them both.
They have to like separate Brad and Janet to like different rooms when they go there. But it's
Mm.
clearly just the same room. But
Yeah, they
like
just want lit in
one
red.
time, yeah, they had like a red filter on it for one of them, and the other didn't. But everything else was the same.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I like the fact that they were like, oh, they're not going to notice. It's fine.
no, I think they knew people would notice. They kind of just went with it because like this film is heavily inspired by like 1950s B movies to the point where they kind of like tried to copy a lot of those. What makes a lot of those films really ridiculous and shit.
Oh yeah, like they've
Like,
got
you've
that
got,
narrator guy.
Yeah, you got Charles Gray plays like the criminologist who like narrates the movie, and it keeps like cutting back to him like sat at this table explaining what's going on. And that's like exactly like what happens in Plan 9 from Outer Space. Like it's really, really silly, but I
I
love
did
it a
not
lot.
appreciate that.
No, I do think you
Just cutting
did.
back every so often, taking us out of the movie to this random old white dude going, "Here, you got that? Here's what's happening in this movie." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching it."
It was also when he was quote unquote singing, but it was just the music and he was just talking lines.
Yeah, it keeps cutting back to him during the time warp.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird. It kind of reminded me of though. You know that I don't know why. I don't even know if it's even relevant, but you know the episode of The Simpsons where they've got Leonard Nimoy like narrating it. For some weird reason,
Yeah.
it reminded me of that. And I don't know why. It's that sort of vibe. It was just cutting back to Leonard Nimoy just chatting shit and then going back again.
You got these guys at the end who are like trying to kill Tim Curry because
Yep.
he's a bad guy or whatever. And then, like Brad and Janet stick up for him. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna kill him? What's his crime? What did he do?" I'm like, "Didn't he try to rape both of you?" This guy's not a nice dude. He's kind of awful.
He is. He like literally killed like at least 2 people whilst
Yeah.
I was watching it.
I like that they're like really, really like casual about the fact that he just like murders someone like brutally with an ice pick at one point.
Oh,
They're just like stood there like, yeah, this is something that's happening.
yeah, I just feel like the movie's almost like, I don't know, like dream-esque. Like no one seems to like be bothered by it. That seems to be happening. So weird. Also, what about that fucking song about Eddie?
Eddie's Teddy.
Yeah. It was like, no, the thing that annoyed me the most, right, was that they were singing about Eddie and his teddy. That is fine, right? And all the people around the table, like, was either his parent or someone that has known him for a long time. And then Brad and bloody Janet start singing as if they've known him. They didn't even know him.
They met him once.
I hated that. I hated that so much.
He
He
came
had
out
a
and
profound effect on their life.
Yeah, he did a musical number, so they went through an ordeal together.
I honestly hated that bit. That was actually my least favourite bit of the whole thing. I was like, why?
Yeah, and then they like pull off the tablecloth to reveal Eddie's corpse under the table,
Right,
which
that was
looks
fucking-
so bad.
Fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
I liked that. That was... I mean, it looked terrible, but it was hardcore.
Yeah, most of the actors had no clue that was going to happen. So, like, when I think it's Susan Sarandon who plays Janet, like, screams, that was, like, for real, because she was actually terrified by what she was seeing.
That is sick. I actually think that is so sick. I mean, I shouldn't approve of that, but I do. Simultaneously, the best and worst scene of the whole film, I would say.
I don't know why Brad didn't chase Janet up the stairs when he saw that she was being chased by Frankenfurter. He's like,
I told you.
I'm gonna catch Janet and do some horrible things to her. Brad's just like, I think I'll get this dude in the wheelchair and I'll just go up the lift.
I told you, it's because they're engaged, but they're not even mates. Like, I'm not even convinced that they know each other,
Yeah,
to be
maybe
honest.
he's just, like, still upset that she cheated on him.
Well, I
Even
mean-
so, he was going to kill her. Also.
That is true. Very true.
But he didn't. He just Medusa'd her.
But then, like, they're all right afterwards.
Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Like, it didn't even need to happen.
I love you
felt like
again,
it didn't make
Janet.
sense. Yeah.
Why? She cheated on you with a
I mean, they
muscular
both
man
cheated
who
on
came
each
out of a
other.
rainbow
So
tank as a mummy.
does it not equal itself out if they've both cheated? One for one.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Darcy. You tell me. It's a nicer way to gauge your principles and your morals there.
I don't know, Chris. If we, I'm not even gonna do this.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Could imagine that a big bus stop starts on the Sunday movie marathon.
I love the look of the film. Like, it's really, really bright and colourful. I think, like, all the sets are, like, they look quite cheap, but at the same
They
time, you
do.
can tell a lot of time and effort's been put into, like, building them, and it does look really, really great. I like that they filmed, like, a lot of it at a real castle,
Oh hell yeah, I like that.
which I think is still open and, like, has this whole, like, gift shop bit where they sell, like, Rocky Horror memorabilia and shit.
Sure, I like that. That is the best fact that you have told me today. You've barely told me any facts, but still, it's my favourite one that you've said.
It's also like right at the end where you see like the castle like start flying into the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't afford to like actually make it disappear. So if you look really closely, you can see like under all the smoke, all they've done is they've just literally repeated the frame and pulled it up to make it look like it's floating, but you can still see the castle underneath.
That is so sick.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I admire that actually. At least they had a vision and they went for it and they did it anyway.
Yeah, there's something I really like about this movie is that they kind of just embrace the low budget aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like they kind of just roll with a lot of it being really cheap.
See, luckily for them, because they were doing like 1950s B movies or whatever, you can kind of get away with that because obviously budgets are fuck all really, innit? I kind of appreciate that. As stupid as that is, you can I feel like you can get on board with this film if you kind of have absolutely no seriousness taken to it whatsoever.
I think my favourite bit of the film is like the final floor show sequence, where it's like this multi-part song and musical number that they're performing as they're all being like unmedusa'd. And
Oh, yeah.
Unmedusa'd.
that's what the actual the
Is that what they
never
say?
says. It says unmedusa.
Oh my bloody
Nice.
god.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
just like put on this really huge, elaborate show. Like there's a swimming pool in there. There's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a big RKO logo in the background. Start singing about Fay Ray from King Kong.
Oh,
It's, like,
I
all
do
really
like that
great.
bit where he's swimming in the pool or whatever, and like the bottom image is just oh shit, I feel like I should know the name of the painting. but it's that painting. Whoever people have seen it will know what I'm talking about.
Is it by Michelangelo?
It's Michelangelo,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it's called.
Man on canvas.
Yes. Me and Max, being great art heads, together know the piece.
Yeah, there was the those two old people at the beginning after the church, and like one of them had like a pitchfork, and they looked like they look like that painting with the two old people with the pitchfork on the farm, and I don't know the name.
I know
of
the
it.
one you're about. American Gothic, I think it's called.
Yeah. Well, it's all
The
three of
farmer and the
the
wife, yeah.
it's all three of the people. It's Riff Raff, the girl whose name I can't remember, and Frankenfurter. It's like all three of those actors, like just dressed up as like the American Gothic people.
I thought there was only two
Nice.
people in the American Gothic there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
But you got Tim
Frankenfurter's
Curry's like stood there for a little bit and then leaves.
He's hiding behind. Yeah, in the actual painting, he's hiding behind them.
Oh, okay. Now I
He's
understand.
there.
I get you. I understand it now. Okay.
I did like that that last sort of dance show sequence. I thought very nice use of lighting, especially just like with like the most obvious use of lighting, where like they actually have it on the stage, but
Yeah.
it was really used very well, especially to like silhouette Tim Curry, I think.
Yeah, it's really, really great, I think. I think it looks great. I think a lot of the choreography and the costumes I really like as well.
I liked most of the costumes. I don't like the iconic one that Tim Curry's wearing at the beginning. It looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
But
with
then-
like the corset.
Yeah.
and stuff.
But then he comes out with another corset and it has like long sleeves that like looks like it's made out of like velour. Now that, moi, chef's kiss. Tim Curry looks good in a nice little leotard looking thing.
Yeah.
But there you go.
I love his introduction in that bit where he comes in and does Sweet Transvestite, like how he comes down on this elevator and is like got his heels on and he's like stepping to the beat of this like kick drum. It's like just really ridiculous.
Well, I guess it kind of has to be. His name's Frankenfurter, for fuck's sake. He literally is like the campiest thing I've ever heard.
That's like the whole film. It's just as
Literally.
camp as you can possibly get.
It's true. I'm not even going to deny that, to be honest.
And that's kind of what I love so much about it. I think it is ridiculous. I think it is cheesy. I think it is kind of a shit movie, but I love it so much.
I think, to be honest, I don't think anyone's really gone into it thinking this is a masterpiece
No,
of
I
cinema.
don't think anyone who likes this movie thinks it's like an unironically
great
great
movie.
masterpiece. Because that's not what it's trying to be. It knows what it is. It's trying to be silly. It's trying to be over the top and campy. But I just find it really infectious. And every time I watch it, I just get sucked in and have such a great time.
If I liked the songs more, I probably would feel the same. But it's hard to really love a film when it's mostly music and the music isn't great.
Yeah. I don't know how much of my love of the music comes from like nostalgia, from the fact that I used to just listen to like the soundtrack all the time when I first watched the film. So I have like vivid memories of like me just listening to the soundtrack on like my old MP3 player when I was like 10 or 11, really, really loving it.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those movies, like you watch it when you're a kid, you kind of grow a fondness for it. That's not to say like you can't love it when you're like an adult for the first time. Perhaps it's just not for me.
No,
It's
we
definitely not
actually,
for me.
before we got to the marathon, Chris said to me, Max is either going to hate this film or it's going to be his gay awakening. And I felt it, I think it fell a bit short of a gay awakening, sadly.
Yeah, I kind of expected neither of you would love it as much as I do. I kind of expected it was going to be like a very divisive movie, but that was why I picked it, because I thought it could be interesting to see what you guys thought.
I'm actually more surprised that I didn't like it more, because everyone that I know that has seen it really loves it. Like
Yeah.
my mum and my sister, H included in this category of people, fucking loved this film. And I was just like, it's okay.
Yeah, maybe watching it again you'd enjoy it more. Who knows?
Maybe.
Nah.
Maybe. Yeah. For now, I'm just going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
No, this isn't for me. This is not my
Yeah,
my type of movie. I don't
No.
think.
And do you know what, Max?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. I feel like we kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to be for you, but we appreciate that you watched it anyway. You gave it a
Oh,
go.
don't worry. I'm as sad as you guys are. That this wasn't my gay awakening. Maybe the next go round.
Damn.
Maybe we'll get lucky then.
Chris needs to up the ante with these gay films, I think.
Something that I don't know if you guys know about. I'll bring it up before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
In 1981, they made a sequel called Shock Treatment.
Shut up.
The same director. I think it's Richard O'Brien still coming back to do all the music and everything. And it was kind of like, so the original Rocky Horror film was a huge box office failure. It was critically like torn apart, but it grew a gigantic cult following.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because it like suddenly had this huge following, they were like, oh, we could do that again. And now we have a fan base. People will come and see the new movie. And that had the exact same sort of fate. Like it was a huge box office failure. But it's only been in like the last decade people have like turned around and started liking it.
I've never heard of it.
It's like it's Brad and Janet who are now married,
Ugh.
played by different actors as well. And they like go on like this game show. Like the whole
Okay.
film is like this like statement against like TV shows and stuff. And it's not very good. The music's nowhere near as good as the first film. But it's like this really weird oddity, the fact that it exists. Like,
Well,
I'm fascinated by its existence, even if I don't really
I'll
like
be
it
honest,
at all.
Chris. If the music is worse in that film than it is in the original, then I do not want to be watching this movie.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as camp and like obviously about being gay and stuff as this movie is.
I love that. It's not as obviously gay.
No, it's kind of going for something completely different tonally.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's interesting that it exists, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, it's nah. I might pass it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Should we move on to ratings then?
Yes.
Oh yeah, what do you want to rate it out of, Chris? I think you should pick.
Hot Dogs.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
This is one of my favourite movies. I love it every single time I watch it. I've actually not seen it in a few years, and I think when I watched it last, I was drunk, so I don't really remember it much. But I just had a blast rewatching it with you guys, even if you guys weren't enjoying it anywhere near as much as I was. Love all the music, love all the costumes and everything. Just think it's a really fun movie and give it 9 hot dogs out of 10.
It was okay. It was all right. And again, I don't know. I probably wouldn't watch it again. I don't think there's anything that I could get out of it on a second go round that I hadn't already got out of it this time. I was really struggling to pay attention. I don't think it's an inherently bad movie, but I also don't think it's like one of the greats. Really, I appreciate what it's going for, but what it's going for is not for me. 5 hot dogs out of 10.
I don't really know. I don't really know how to close this because I think me and Chris have spent pretty much the whole time just going back and forth about what I didn't and liked about the film. To keep it short, maybe I'd watch it again. I feel like I need a bit more. I don't know. Maybe I need a couple of drinks in my system. Maybe I'll like really enjoy it. Start doing the time warp.
Yeah, it's a great drunk movie.
Yeah, having a great time. But until then, I'll give it 6 hot dogs out of 10.
Lovely. Now we'll move on to my recommendation. I recommended Hitchcock's 1960 movie by the name of Psycho. This is a movie. This is a mystery horror movie, and there's a woman called Marion. And she is up to no good. She steals a bunch of money from a guy who's comes in. He says, "I want to give you some cash," because she works on like a dealership or something like that. So she takes the money. She's like, "This is 40 grand. I'm going to take this money." So she takes the money and she runs away. She buys a new car with it and runs away off to live her dreams. She goes to the Bates Motel and she gets got.
She gets
Hi-ya! This is a movie about what happened to Marion. We know what happened to Marion, but it's about the predominantly, I suppose, about this man, Norman Bates, who owns the Bates Motel where Marion is gone. And it is about, well, she is murdered, and now her sister and her partner are trying to find out where she is and hire a private investigator. Go and see what's up. This is a classic movie.
Yeah,
classic movie.
I can see why, and I don't say that very often. I don't watch films and go, "Oh, I can see why this is a classic," but this I can, because it's actually genuinely quite fucking creepy. Like, it's really
It does
creepy.
have that kind of air about it, I would say. Quite strange, mysterious, creepy vibe going on, especially with the character of Norman Bates. You don't fully know what his deal is until the very end, which makes him a very intriguing character, played
He gives
very
me
well.
like Ted Bundy vibes. You know, like someone who's like sort of attractive, but also like really fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins plays him so well. Like, honestly, one of the best like horror villain performances I think I've ever seen. He's like incredible in the role.
Yes, it's genuinely quite creepy, but I feel because it's, once again, one of those films where it could happen. You could check into a hotel or motel even one day and never leave. Just a thought.
You get a lot from like just his performance or his facial performance. You kind of understand slightly what he's about from just the way he handles situations, the way he talks to people. This is clearly quite a lonely man. He's living out in the sticks. Nobody's come into his motel. Lives with his mother, who's in the house. And she doesn't, for some reason, his mother doesn't want people in the motel. But how's he going to make a living? Mother Bates, how's he going to do that if you want to let people into the motel? He's a taxidermist. He catches birds and he stuffs them.
Yes.
Puts them on his mantle. He's a weird dude.
I love how he had these like stuffed birds, but for me, the moment I knew he was a fucking maniac was when he was like, "I'm gonna have dinner, sandwiches, and milk." He's a fucking psychopath.
That's when it clicked for you.
Yeah, it did. I went, "That's not right."
Sandwiches and milk.
It's not right.
This man is truly the spawn of the devil.
I'd seen the movie before, but not since I was like 16, maybe. So I was like, I couldn't really remember it that much at all. And I was actually quite shocked at how long it takes for Marion Crane to actually get to Bates Motel. Like, there's like a large amount of setup of her like stealing this money from her employer and like going on the run, and this police officer kind of following her because he thinks that she's up to no good, and her having to like change her car so she doesn't get caught, and all these different things. Didn't realize how much of the film that actually took up.
Yeah. And then she gets got.
She gets got.
Which is a fantastic scene, shower scene.
It is. The iconic scene, yes.
Really heightened by just the music usage. I think the music in this movie is really fantastic. Some of the most iconic scores put to film. Everybody knows the theme, even if you haven't seen it. It is that ubiquitous in culture. I was very surprised at... I wanted to watch this movie again because I felt like I had been kind of unfair on it. But now I feel like I hadn't been, because I'm sort of in two minds about this movie. I'll get into it a bit later. So this scene I felt was really disturbing, really quite strangely disturbing for a movie in 1960 where I feel like I wouldn't get this kind of experience from. Usually with the typical kind of movie, but Hitchcock, he's that kind of director, and when he's at his best, he delivers movies like this. I was very surprised at just how long it took for her to die and how many times she was stabbed.
Literally, it was a lot.
Like, quite disturbing, quite unnerving.
I think what makes it so disturbing is it feels very real. Like in a lot of films, like they just like show someone get stabbed once and that's it, they're dead. But that's not, like, scarily, that's not how it actually works in real life. So it feels like this is kind of like much more real, and that's kind of what makes it so disturbing. Not just that, like, you spend ages like getting to know this character, like liking the character, seeing him go through all this like hardship, like all these like really stressful, like anxiety filling scenes where she's like got this police officer following her, and like all of that leading up to this, where like you feel like you've gone through a lot, and you feel like she's like finally gonna turn around and sort herself out, and she realizes that she's kind of made this mistake. Like, for her to just get stabbed that brutally, it's just really, really effective, I think.
Yeah, I feel really bad for her.
Really, really, really great editing in that scene as well. Like, really fast cuts, like basically hiding the actual like stabs, so you don't really see anything. It kind of leaves it up to your imagination, while also having like these really close shots and quick cuts. I think it's just really, really effective and creepy stuff.
Yeah, I like how it you see in like culture, people have like tried to copy the scene as well, especially that bit where she like lays on the ground, just zooms in onto her eye. Another thing that I remember happened on The Simpsons.
Yeah, I always think it's just that episode where like
where Maggie
like, hits him around the head, and he like drops this like tin of paint, this red paint, like goes down the drain.
Yeah, and the Psycho music starts playing, which, do you know what is I'm kind of glad someone brought up the music already, because before I forget to say it, this is actually the first time that I've watched a film with you guys in a while and noticed that music was playing. Like, normally I just kind of don't notice it, but this time I couldn't stop hearing it.
Music's
I was like,
very prominent in this movie, I think.
It's
very in your face.
Yeah, I liked it, actually.
That kind of emotion in you. It is great music. Some of the best music, I think, in any... Well, perhaps it's one of the best music usages in any movie.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that shot of the eye, Darcy, because that was like quite intense, really crazy. It was there's a really close up shot of this eye, and then just zooming out. It was really creepy.
The scariest bit in the whole film for me, like the first time I watched it, I actually like shat myself, and it like.
I think I know what you're gonna say. Go on, say it.
It's where you got like the detective who like goes up the stairs and like suddenly like the door opens and like Mrs. Bates like comes out and stabs him. Like, really effective jump scare, I think. Like, the first time I watched it, I wasn't expecting it, and it just like really, really like brutally shook me up.
See, I actually thought you were gonna say that bit where I don't even know who even goes down there. Someone goes down there to see
Marion's sister.
Yeah, to go and see the mother and be like, have a word with her or whatever, and then turns the fucking bitch around, and she's literally a fucking skull with teeth. Why is that? It was creepy. I fucking hated really that. Creepy. I was like, that's amazing.
And you got Norman dressed as Mrs. Bates, like, run out.
I fucking loved that. He was all like, I'm Norman Bates, and I was like, oh my god, it was great. I like that bit.
Must have been such an insane plot twist back in the day.
Yeah, I can't think of any like horror movies before this like that were that visceral in terms of its horror. Like, most of the horror movies I think of like from this sort of pre-60s era anyway were like much more slow and atmospheric.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mentioned was it Arbogast?
What a shit name. Sorry,
terrible
carry
name,
on. Yeah.
But there was like quite a freaky scene for me. And I don't think it looks real when he falls down the stairs.
No.
But it does call to like nightmares I would have as a child where I fell down the stairs. And it kind of felt like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It is really I mean, yeah, it doesn't look real, but isn't it really cool? I like the way it just kind of goes...
Yeah. You can kind of look past it looking fake because it
was the 60s,
it's a great like shot, and it's like really eerie.
I like the way they use the stairs as well, because it's quite a prominent feature in the movie. There's this really sick shot where like the camera goes up the stairs and it kind of twists up towards the it just keeps going up and then up over the banister, as if like I feel like it's just the camera on a crane going over the banister of the stairs, and it kind of goes to the corner of just above the bedroom door for Norman Bates' mother, and then it twists around, so it's kind of this aerial shot of the landing. I was like, there's such a kind of simple. Well, I don't know. Like, it's like, maybe you would think it's quite simple in terms of like, yeah, it's a shot and it goes around, but I just really appreciate shots like that kind of it enhances like the weirdness of it and the creepy, foreboding nature of the movie.
I think there's a lot of really creative camera work throughout, but that's something you kind of expect from Hitchcock. I think he was like really a master of visuals, which is something that I think a lot of people don't really like think of when they talk about him. They think more about like just like the general mystery elements that like in all his films and how he'd like tell stories. But I think one of his best qualities was in terms of visuals.
Yeah. You guys seen Rope?
No. That's
Rope?
the one
that's
that's like framed like one shot, isn't it?
Yeah. And it doesn't like pull it off in the way that like I guess we're used to nowadays, but super long shots and just like commitment to acting and framing in that movie. I would recommend that highly because I think that's probably my favourite of his. The car sinking into the swamp looks sick. So like Marion's dead. Oh no. So Norman puts her in the boot. Oh, I've got to mention that as well. I don't know like if you guys got like such a visceral reaction from this as I did, but I found there was something very unnerving and quite horrendous about the way he kind of just picks up her naked body out of the shower, bundles her into this shower curtain, this transparent shower curtain, and just chucks her into the boot of a car, and then chucks the money in after her, like as if it absolutely didn't matter at all because it clearly didn't.
She was a person, but she wasn't a person.
And then,
She's just dead.
just bundled into this boot, and I was like, oh fuck, it really got to me. And then like just to push the car into the swamp just so it's never found is really unsettling.
It's the kind of creepy shit that you kind of expect a serial killer to do, though, I suppose. Because why else would they do it? They don't really care, do they?
Something we haven't
have to see him. Oh, sorry. You have to see him like try to get himself out of these lies that he's telling. You could tell he's really uncomfortable in these scenes. There's more like really great acting from him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say something we haven't mentioned that I had noted down I wanted to bring up was the opening credit sequence, which I think is so good with like all these like lines cutting across the screen.
Yes.
That's just done by Saul Bass, who's like one of the great credit like creators. Like he used to do so much great work.
I actually like that a lot. I like a good scene transition, but I like the way, I don't know, it just looked very artistic to me. I was very, very big.
And like
for me,
the opening credit song, like that main theme, like of the film that isn't like the shower scene song, it's like easily my favorite song in the film. It's like one of my favorite pieces of film music.
It's called back to really, really good. Really good use of credits, really good use of music in there. It kind of sets you up for what you're about to see. It takes you in directions that probably were very new in this age. Like especially because you follow Marion for a lot of the movie, and then she dies, and all of a sudden the movie is not about what you thought it was about, and it's not about who you thought the movie was about. That's such a interesting way to structure a movie, I feel.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a really great bait and switch, I think.
Yeah. One thing I kind of takes me out of the movie, or like I feel like I don't really like about this movie all that much, is that we talked about a movie a while back on the podcast called Diabolique. It's this French movie from 1955, and I feel like Psycho takes a lot from Diabolique. Kind of, I probably would rather have, if I had the choice, I would rather go to see Diabolique pretty much every time over Psycho, because it does do this type of story, this mystery surrounding a murder, I feel in a better way, and also it did it first. So perhaps that's my own personal preference, but I feel like I get more out of something like Diabolique than I do this movie because I'd already seen it done better.
Yeah, it's very, very similar tonally, especially, I think.
Yeah. And also, I think I probably like the characters more in Diabolique. There's more for me to latch onto in terms of character. Whereas this, I do like Marion. I do like Norman Bates as a character, but I'm not too upset when Marion dies and we don't see her anymore.
Oh no, I suppose not.
Yeah. No, I get that. I honestly prefer this movie, I think. I do really love the character of Marion, and I really, really love Norman Bates. I think he's like such a captivating and compelling character. He's like probably the main thing I really love about this movie. Like there's that really great scene where they're eating sandwiches together, or she's eating sandwiches while he like sits there creepily, and he's like, they're just like chatting, and it's so creepy and eerie. Like he says like so many really iconic lines, like a boy's best friend is his mother. And,
I've never heard a bigger red flag in my whole life. I literally said this as soon as he said that. I literally did that cringe, and I was like, he's mad.
A son is a poor substitute for a lover.
Yeah, what the fuck was that all about, man?
And you got like, sometimes we all go a little bit mad, like that really famous line.
Yeah.
I think that scene's like really great.
He was really creepy. But then he's gotten to kind of be creepy, to be honest.
Yeah, really Alice in Wonderland's it up.
He does.
We all got a little mad sometimes. Yeah. A lot of like flagrant kind of just jabs at women in general.
Oh yeah, women are scum of the earth, according to this film.
I'm not capable of being fooled, even by a woman. Okay.
I love that. It was like, you can't go out there. You're a woman. And I was just like, oh, okay then. Fair enough.
When Norman was like being questioned by Marion's partner, he's like, oh, you must be sick of living here in seclusion. It's like, do almost anything to get away from this kind of isolation, wouldn't you? Norman just goes, no.
Well, yeah,
of course not. He's still here, isn't he? If he wanted to get away from it, he would have left.
Yeah. I really like that scene as well, where Norman's like, he's lying, but like slipping up, and you can tell he's like really nervous and scared. Like just the way he's delivering it.
Yeah, he just loses all his confidence, doesn't he?
Fantastic piece of acting there.
Especially with the bit where he's
make
like...
his voice sound like his mother. How do you get that registered to him?
Can we? Because
that's a completely different voice.
That was fucking horrible.
Yeah. But it's pretty weird. It's creepy. It is creepy.
Yeah, I hated that. Like it was, I think it's like towards the end where he's like actually talking like in her voice, and you're just watching his face. Oh my dear God.
Do you get like when Marion gets up from the chair after she's eaten the milk and sandwiches, there's like this crow like to the right side of her head is like the black raven almost. I felt like that was definitely like foreshadowing, like a harbinger of death, like an omen of sorts to her eventual demise.
Yeah, definitely was, I think.
Really great, just blocking of a scene and like positioning of different things within the scenes that I think Hitchcock often does very well.
Do we have anything else to add to this movie?
I don't, I'm afraid.
No, let's go on to the ratings.
Yeah. What are we going to rate this one out of?
Milk and sandwiches.
Yeah,
really like watching this, you completely understand why it's so famous and so iconic. Super influential movie. I think it holds up really, really well. Super creepy, fantastic acting, writing, directing. One of Hitchcock's best movies, I think. I think I still prefer Vertigo over this, but I really love this still. I'll give it 9 milk and sandwiches out of 10.
Yeah, very good. Obviously, a very iconic movie. That's gone down in history as one of the best horror movies ever. Perhaps I don't agree with that, but I do understand where people are coming from, and I understand the the hype for it. I obviously I do get a lot out of this movie. It is very affecting. So I guess I'm glad that I watched it again to kind of affirm how I felt about it. It's not, for me, something that I could never get anywhere else, but I appreciate what it goes for and why people feel the way they do about it. So I'll give it 7 milk and sandwiches out of 10.
I don't really know what to expect going into this film, truth be told. I think normally when people show me what they call the quote-unquote classics, I kind of go, I mean, yeah, but okay. But no, I actually think this film was actually sick. It's probably, probably should have seen it sooner, but there you go. That's kind of something that I'm famous for, is just never watching movies or never getting around to them until someone begs me to watch them. So, in that effort, 8 out of 10, because I refuse to rate it out of milk. I refuse.
Okay.
And now we hit my portion of the saga here.
Speaking of movies that we force people to watch.
Yes. I mean, okay, so I don't know whether I mentioned it in the last podcast. Maybe I did, I don't know. I put all of these films into a wheel, and I let the wheel decide whether we were going to have a good time or not, basically. And the wheel decided
This is your way of shifting blame, Darcy.
Okay, right, I'll be honest though. That did happen, but I'll just admit it. It was my film because it came up. So this is The Mist from 2007, directed by Frank Darabont. It's a Stephen King adaptation. I assume from a book, lovingly. About a storm that creates like a cloud of mist over a small town, and it's basically centered around this family, a dad and son, who are kind of like stuck in a supermarket with this mist that is like killing off people and stuff. There you go. What do we think?
Little disclaimer before we get into the movie.
Yes.
We watched this in black and white.
We did. Sorry,
it's not the official black and white version. I got the DVD for £1.50, and I just turned the colour off on my TV, so that's how we watched it. I don't know if the black and white official version was engineered to be in black and white, but that's just how we watched it. I don't think.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot.
It looked all right. I mean, it looked fine.
I think they literally just turned the colour off like we did, because Frank Darabont intentionally lit and coloured the movie so it would look all right in black and white, because that was how he wanted it to be released.
He wanted it in black and white.
Yeah.
So with
you
all
just
that,
made it in black and white. Bloody Frank Darabont.
It still didn't make the movie any more bearable for me. Still,
I love that. Did you just hear what Max just said?
Yeah.
It still made the movie, I mean, maybe ever so slightly better, but not enough for me, because this movie sucks ass. This is honestly terrible. This is so dull. It's just that creature feature and nothing happens in it. It's just a bunch of people in a store fucking going at it, and I don't appreciate this at all, because it's clearly 2 hours long. It doesn't need to be 2 hours long. This is like a short story that's being adapted here. It could have been perhaps an hour. Perhaps it even could have been a short movie of about 30 minutes. I don't know. I'm not really invested in anything that's happening. I don't like the characters. I think the acting all sucks. I think that even though it was in black and white, perhaps that hides a bit of the creature effects. But
the creatures
for the most part, I
suck.
thought the creatures looked really bad. I thought the CG was terrible. And when I don't care when anyone dies, I'm not invested in any characters. I don't care about what's going on in this movie. I was very bored.
I actually, obviously Chris probably noticed this as well, but there were multiple times where I turned around and Max was just like partially asleep.
Yeah, because I don't feel like it's a movie you need to open your eyes to be able to understand what's going on.
No.
I liked it personally. I was just like, wow. I think that's the first film I've ever recommended that's actually sent Max to sleep.
Yeah, I'd seen this movie before, and I remember really liking it when I watched it before. But I think it's another Telstar where it's nowhere near as good as I remember it at all.
Is this what we're going to start calling films that we liked as kids and then stopped liking? Because if we are, we're just going to have to call it the Telstar effect or something.
People like this movie a lot, and I don't really understand why. I feel like it's kind of a movie that I could kind of lump into every other creature movie that's going for this type of thing. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie called The Silence, but it's going for something like that. It's going for like a very kind of Bird Box-ish sort of atmosphere, I suppose. It's like, here's the character, and you're going to watch them try to get through this thing, and there are creatures, and that's it, and not very well rendered creatures at that.
Well, part of the reason I wanted to watch this film was because of the quote unquote infamous ending that everyone seems to be really device. Oh, I don't know. They seem to be they seem to be quite split on it, whether they think it's great or whether they think it's like awful. And
it's very funny.
It is so fucking funny. Like, why was it? It shouldn't have been funny. It wasn't supposed to be funny. But the guy who plays Dave, is that his name?
He fucking know.
He's pretty shit, to be honest. The dad, basically, he's like wah,
He's like out to protect these guys. He's got his son, and then he gets out of the store because this whole thing takes place in a store, which is such a boring location.
It is. It is too long.
Which is with a bunch of side characters, and then like he gets out eventually, goes in a car with his son and two other people who I don't know, and then he's like, "Oh, we've ran out of fuel, guys. This is the end for us." And then, I don't know, he just sits there. He's like, "I've got 5 people and 4 bullets." It's so stupid. Like, what? So he kills these 4 people, including his son, and then he like gets out. He just goes, "Oh, I can't believe it!" And then like the monsters won't kill him, and then like he's saved by the army, so he didn't need to do it at all. And he's just like there, like screaming. Well, like, dude, if you fucking hell. Like,
he could have just waited.
It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to say. It is a horrible thing to say. But like, if you really, really wanted all of you to die, you'd have put your son's head against your own and shot him through you.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, I think would that work? I assume that would work. I don't know.
Yes, it would work.
Most likely. Obviously, there is a possibility of the bullet getting lodged in one of their brains and not going all the way through, or the impact dulling it so it doesn't go through as hard and doesn't kill him. But
yeah, he would have to shoot his son first, so they went through him.
Yeah,
because his head is so monumentally thick.
I mean, I just I don't know, man. It was one of those things where, like, because everyone was talking about this like really iconic ending. I mean, I already knew about the ending because I don't know, I saw some videos on it like forever and ever ago. It just didn't really get to me, to be honest. I just didn't really care. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't think that's the response that you're supposed to have to someone killing like their 6-year-old son. It's just not normal, is it?
Well, then establish a dynamic with the father and the son, establish them as relatable characters, but they didn't. So I didn't really care when anyone died, because they're not relatable. These people are not relatable. There's like this religious lady who's like always going on about how it's Judgment Day and everyone needs to repent or whatever, and she's not fun. She's just too easy to hate, and they don't have to think about writing her as a good character because it's a very, very cliched type of character archetype. I feel I see this in a lot of movies. It's very boring.
There must have been like 20-30 minutes of just her like preaching that could have been cut out. That's what it felt like, at least.
Do you know what? That was probably what the other half an hour of this 2-hour movie was. Just an hour and a half of film and another half an hour of this woman just chatting shite.
Yeah, the biggest issue I had with this movie is so much of it is just nothing. Like, it's just so slow and boring. Like, there's so much time spent with these characters, but they never develop any of them. It's just them just talking, just shit.
Yeah, like,
and it's just not interesting.
The thing is, like, I was reading like people's reviews on it because like people really seem to love this film, and there's like loads of discussion about how Stephen King is some sort of genius because he's making people think philosophically about like religion and how it is to be human. Should we be better people if we were in situations where like the end of the world is happening and stuff? And do you know what I say to that? I don't fucking know. Would I kill that preachy lady if I was stuck in a store with her? Maybe I would.
Maybe Stephen King writes a lot of movies that would be better off as video games. I don't know.
Maybe.
This would have been better off as a video game.
Do you know what? It would have been a cool video game, actually.
Maybe, I don't know.
They've made a Netflix series based on it.
Have they? What's that?
It's called The Mist.
The Mist.
Oh, sorry. Well, they could have been a bit
Is that any
more
good?
like,
That's supposed to be any good?
I've heard mixed things about it.
This is it. I feel like something like... Right, so imagine you made a 2-hour movie about it. How the fuck are you going to drag that into a TV series? Please tell me, because I don't understand.
I think this is a very interesting story to begin with.
No.
Like, I said it yesterday, I don't really love Stephen King in that I think a lot of his writing isn't amazing. I think he comes up with a lot of great ideas and stories, but in terms of actual books, a lot of the time they can be quite hit or miss. But I definitely don't think this is one of his better stories, like, to begin with. So just watching it, I just don't care because they don't do anything interesting with it. They don't make it interesting at all. Like, the creatures aren't very cool at all. They're just generic creatures. The effects look awful. None of the characters are interesting. It's just nothing here that really grips me in at all.
No. I will say this for like maybe like there was a part at the end where like this huge monster came on screen. It's like it walks over the road above the car, and I was like, that looks pretty cool in black and white. It looks pretty cool, but it's just like a silhouette. I don't know. The music was terrible. Music was actually
music
awful.
Was awful.
I don't remember the music.
At points, it kind of reminded me of like the ululating vocal tones akin to that of whenever Wonder Woman would come on the screen in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
There was a lot of like bits where like rings out, like a lot of like weird like cymbal sounds. It literally sounded like it was taken from like an episode of Kitchen Nightmares or something. Like it sounded like cheap reality TV music. It was awful.
I actually don't. I can't remember the music. But then that's just the product of how shit the music must have been. I just don't remember. It was
shot like an episode of The Office.
Oh yeah, some of the angles and like edits are really funny as well. Like they zoom in on faces and they kind of like.
She's very documentary-esque.
Looks weird.
Which I don't know. Perhaps it could have worked, but it didn't.
No, I think apparently the reason it's like meant to be viewed black and white is to give it like that 50s B movie edge that Rocky Horror was kind of going for. But I don't think tonally it really captures that at all. I think the film tries way too hard to be serious, and I think that's kind of why I find it so boring. I think if it went for that more silly, like campy sort of feel, it would have been a lot more enjoyable than it is.
Yeah, or even I would have perhaps preferred it if the locations were more varied, or like it kind of felt like they had to go somewhere, but they kind of don't. They're just like, we're going to stay in the shop. It was quite boring. I perhaps also would have liked to have not seen these creatures, or like maybe hint at something deeper going on. There's a lot of like tentacles in this. Like tentacles come out of the mist and they swallow up old Norm, and he dies. I'm like, okay, it's not really playing with the mysterious element that the mist itself lends.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of potential in that sort of idea, which funnily enough, I think the film The Fog does so much better. And I don't even think that film's amazing, but I think in the way it plays with like this like foggy mist sort of thing coming in, and like the mystery of what it actually is, and the way it slowly develops it before giving a reveal. I think it's so much better than this.
Yeah. We got thinking about like an episode of Doctor Who where like they're on a train and you never see the monster, but it's just like this kind of presence that's taking over people's bodies and learning what it can from them, like mimicking other people. That's even just so much more affecting than anything that they show in The Mist, because it's playing more with like the fear of the unknown, which The Mist it could do, because it literally has this big giant veil to mask what it's showing, but it doesn't choose to do that. It's like, here are some bugs. Boring. It's boring, and the bugs look bad.
The bugs do look bad. They do. They look like shit. I mean, I don't really know what the excuse was. This was 2007.
Probably just had a low budget.
Just didn't look great. And then just don't do... I would rather they didn't show the bugs properly. Like, make something knock into the glass, cool. But don't show me what it is. They're gonna look that shit. The spider thing, though, holy fuck. Holy hell. The bloody spider thing had like a skull and it was like pissing out like venom cum webs. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrific.
Yeah. I think the acting for the most part is really bad as well. Especially the main guy is awful.
That's basically what I was saying. He's pretty piss, isn't he? He's not great.
Like some of the side characters, I guess, are okay, but no one I think's really great in this movie.
Let me look him up.
None of them are good.
Yeah,
none of them are good.
Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, innit?
And he sucked.
Yeah, he did.
Just no one's good at this. I don't.
Yeah, like multiple.
But like, what do you? I don't care. I don't really blame them. Like, what could you take from this movie? It's not really giving you much in terms of like an emotional.
I agree. They
sort of setup.
Yeah,
it's just there.
There's multiple actors from The Walking Dead as well in the film, and I think they're better in that show. And I don't think that show's even that good.
Wow, that is harsh. Anyway,
Should we on to ratings? I'm really
I don't have anything else.
No, I don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Do it out of tentacles.
Yeah.
Right. Can we rate it out of?
Max just said tentacles.
Tentacles. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Apologies.
Just trying to steal this one thing that Max has, coming up with the rating.
This is my only
I'm sorry,
thing.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry, I really didn't.
Yeah, this film sucks. It's just really boring. I didn't really care about it at all. I think the effects are bad. I don't think it's an interesting story. Don't think it's scary at all. I really don't understand why people enjoy this movie. I think it's one of the on the lower echelon of Stephen King adaptations, although there's not many great ones. Anyway, I'm gonna give it like 5 tentacles out of 10. I think.
Yeah. Just really didn't gel with it at all. I really didn't care for anything that was happening. And it didn't really have much of an end goal or like a plot. It's like, what's the goal here? Is just to not die? Wow, great. I've seen it a million times before. Yeah, I won't be watching this again. 3 tentacles out of 10.
Sure. I actually did kind of like the concept of this film. Not for as long as it was on for. I felt like the second we saw it was 2 hours long, I thought, how the fuck are they going to turn that into 2 hours? And then I saw how they did that, and they shouldn't have bothered doing that. I think I would have liked it a lot more if it was a lot shorter and the effects wasn't a shit, and I guess they had better actors in it. But like I said, I like the concept. I just don't think they executed it well at all. So in that saying that, 4 tentacles out of 10 tentacles.
Yeah. I was also like that moment where like this religious lady is like praying to God, and she's like trying to deliver these people from evil, but as soon as someone talks to her, trying to be her friend, she's rude to them. There's like this woman that tries to make friends with her.
Oh
she's
yeah,
like,
when she's in the cubicle.
The day I need a friend like you, I'll take a squat and ship one out. It's like, dude,
yeah, she's
trying
just
to be
a
friendly.
dick. She was just a
she sucks.
dick.
So that's that. That's
yes,
the
that
miss.
is it for now.
Lovely. So the next episode, we've got a free for all. It's the beginning of the month, and every beginning of the month we do a free for all. So we're just gonna pick a movie each that we think could be interesting.
Sorry,
Perhaps
I was just
we'll
turning
talk about them.
around.
On the
to
next
see
episode.
Chris. Go on.
To see me like frantically going through my list.
He's literally
pick
like
a
on
film.
Letterboxd going.
Take it away.
Okay. I am going to pick a film that I know neither of you have seen,
Okay.
but I think Max will definitely like it. I don't know about you, Darcy.
Sake.
But it's a film I really, really love from a director called Abbas Kiarostami. It's his 2010 film Certified Copy.
Wait a minute, I've heard of that
Nice.
film. Give me your phone.
It's basically like the Before trilogy, except most of it's French.
Lovely. Awesome.
I swear I've heard of this film before. Definitely
like-
not seen it.
I like the one movie I've seen from Abbas Kiarostami.
Yeah. He's a great director from what I've seen.
Awesome. My pick is I've not had the best track record on this podcast with recommending musicals, so I wanted to recommend a really good musical that I know is really good. So this is a 1952 movie directed by Stanley Donen and Gene Kelly, and it is called Singin' in the Rain.
Right, I did a little squeal because I actually kind of love it a little bit. Not because I've like seen it multiple times or anything, but the song is so infectious. Oh my god, I'm actually excited. I'm fucking
Have you guys
gassed
seen
now.
this movie?
I have not.
I've seen parts of it. I've not seen it in full.
It's been on my watch list a while though.
Speaking of watch lists, do you know what? We were talking about this film the other day.
I thought you decided on a film already.
Yeah. No. I was talking about it. I was just saying. No, we were talking about this film the other day when we were going around in the Keys, right? And it's been recorded on my home television for the last year and a half, and I haven't watched it still. And that film was Moonlight.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna get flack when Max doesn't give it 5 stars again.
No, I'll do it. I'll
We'll see.
I'll get right there and I'll go, Max, why didn't you give it 5 stars? You
Awesome.
heinous
So,
man.
we got Certified Copy, we got Singing in the Rain, and Moonlight. That's all to come in episode 54. Comes out next week. Until then, perhaps you want to start on the show that we're going to watch for episode 55. That's season 1 of The Fall. You can find that on the BBC iPlayer. So, that's that. We've got our social media channels and accounts and all that. We've got YouTube, the Sunday Movie Marathon, Twitter at Sunday Movie Pod, Facebook at Sunday Movie Marathon, and Letterboxd at Sunday MM, capital S, capital MM. Thank you very much for listening to episode 50-something of the Sunday Movie Marathon. 53, I'm pretty sure. Any final words, guys?
Jamie
Wonderful.
Dornan is in
See
The Fall.
you
And I love it.
on the next. the next.
He's just over it. He's like, oh, fucking hell.